And the gate change I wasn't supposed to announce. Airports are honest the way tides are honest. They pull, they release, they don't care about your story. I run the private lounge on Concourse E, glass walls, warm brass, a tea menu with 6 types of oolong to convince executives they're human. I'm Mark 36, the man with a scanner in his hand and a smile that means, I can move mountains if the mountain is a seat assignment. I've learned 2 things in 8 years. Power travels with carry-on and love travels with excuses. The night this began, a summer storm parked itself over the city like a question, and the concourse lights hummed harder to pretend they weren't flickering. We were full. Delays stack people like poker chips, and I was doing my loop, refilling the pistachios, moving a couple with matching watches to a quieter corner, nudging a drunk donor away from a nervous violinist. That's when she came in under the revolving door of glass, hood up, sunglasses unnecessary, a mask that would have been anonymity if she weren't already a silhouette. Nova Estrella, pop saint, 4 nights at the arena, voice like rain through linen. I only recognized her because I'd seen her on every screen in the city, and because her presence changed the temperature in a way HVAC can't measure. She walked right up to my stand and lowered the mask. "My name isn't on the list," she said, "but you'll let me in anyway." "Depends what you're calling yourself tonight," I said gently. She smiled, tired and conspiratorial, and slid a phone across the podium. Boarding pass glowed, ESTRELLA Nova, but the frequent traveler ID it asked me to scan belonged to someone else. ADAMS "You're traveling with Mariel Adams," I asked before I could stop my mouth. Mariel was a political creature, chief of staff to a senator whose jawline won arguments. She had been on the news so much that month I knew the yellow of her scarf. Nova's mouth tilted. "She's not traveling with me," she said. "We're traveling at the same time." "Which is not the same thing," I said. "Exactly." I scanned the pass. The system blinked thought, then gave me the chirp that means proceed with discretion. Her profile popped. Alias cleared, escort code attached, note about paparazzi probabilities. I waved her in with the smile I use when I'm aware I'm enabling. "Gate E19 delayed 2 hours," I said. "We'll announce the change when the airline does. Until then, we'll pretend time is just decorative." "Is he here?" she asked and then winced. "Sorry, is she?" "I don't track souls," I said. "Only barcodes." "Barcodes lead to souls," she murmured, and drifted toward the corner by the big ficus where we seat people who want to be seen pretending they don't. 15 minutes later, Mariel arrived. No hood, no sunglasses. A woman whose collared shirt fit like a thesis. She set her tote down, scanned, smiled at me with the practiced warmth of someone whose approval is a currency, and walked toward the far window as if pulled by a tide. The lounge absorbed her. She didn't look left. She didn't need to. The reflection on the glass offered her everything. Nova stood and pretended to study the departures board projected on the marble wall. The board pretended to update. Their eyes met in the mirror of the room, 2 faces and 1 decision. I have never believed in fate. I believe in gate changes, and we were about to have one. An alert buzzed on my handheld. Crew desk, private. Shift E19 packs to E21. Do not broadcast. Blue door protocol if asked. Blue door is our concierge shorthand for use the side exit, cameras at main gate. It's not on any brochure. It's how we protect the powerful from the consequences of being identifiable. 10 seconds later, my earpiece crackled with the voice of security. "Heads up, Mark. There's a long lens at E19 and 2 radio freelancers with bad haircuts by the escalator. Your west hallway is clean." "Copy." I looked over at Nova and Mariel not looking at each other, then at the lounge camera feed, which gives me soft angles of people making expensive choices. In their window reflection, you could see my face, a ghost behind polishing cloth and pistachios. Nova approached the desk like a person who has decided to stop pretending she wasn't about to decide. "I'll need a shower room," she said, as if that request didn't crack the air. "All 4 are booked," I said, "but I can move a meeting room reservation 5 minutes for a guest who may or may not exist." Her smile was a question she already knew I answer. "Blue door?" she asked, trying the phrase on her tongue. "If the weather asks for it," I said. "Then tell the weather yes," she said. 2 minutes later, Mariel arrived to ask for the same thing without asking the same thing. "Can I get the small room for a call?" she said. A call without curious air. "Of course," I said. "We'll route you through the west hallway, blue door." Her eyes flicked, approval, gratitude, the faintest acknowledgement that I wasn't a wall. "You're very good at this," she said. "Your taxes pay for it," I said. She laughed, sharp and genuine. The sound carried into the corner where Nova was pretending to be air. I'm not naive. I knew what I was facilitating. But airports are built on the premise that you can be 2 things at once, arriving and leaving, here and not. I told myself I was a clerk of physics. I told myself a lot of things as I walked them, separately, down the side hallway where the light is softer and the cameras belong to us. The blue door is a matte panel, unlabeled, with a sensor that recognizes discretion. I opened it with my badge. "Use room 3, I told Nova. "I'll hold your phones for privacy if you like." "Keep mine," she said, handing it over. On the lock screen, Mariel's name in a pinned thread, muted because sometimes you need care to be quiet. When Mariel arrived, she gave me her phone without asking for the suggestion. We were collaborating now. They went in. The door clicked. The hallway returned to humming. I stood there holding 2 devices that contained more gravity than any bag in the room, and for a moment I understood priests. Security whispered in my ear, freelancers moving to west, they caught a scent. Then sharper, a 3rd camera top of the escalator, not ours. I'm good at 2 things: moving slow when people want speed, and moving fast when they assume I'm furniture. I stowed Nova and Mariel's phones in locker A13 and peeled off toward the escalator. The long lens was pointed at the brushed aluminum sign that says private, authorized only, which is the sign equivalent of a dare. The cameraman scanned faces coming and going while a woman with a mic pretended to check her lipstick in her phone, our kind of camouflage, the press version of Blue Door. "Friends," I said pleasantly, stepping into their light, "can I direct you to our public seating where the pastries are inferior, but the policies are less likely to prosecute?" "No comment," the woman said reflexively, then recognized she had preempted the wrong script. "Sorry, we're waiting for a source." "Sources are at Gate C," I said. "You'll find 6 of them and none of them helpful." She smirked. "We're patient." "So are trespass notices," I said, and held her gaze long enough for security to appear behind me like a polite storm. We moved them gently. The lens lingered on my badge. I kept my face unreadable in the way you learn when you've been yelled at by 7 billionaires and a violinist before breakfast. Back by Blue Door, my handheld pinged. Room 3 motion sensor, timer extended. People use our rooms for calls, prayers, naps, negotiations, fights. The extended timer meant they had found a 3rd thing. I leaned my head against the cool of the wall. I am not a romantic, but there, in the long artery of the west hallway, with the scuffed marks of roller bags and the airflow that feels like a distant sea, I felt protective of 2 people I would never really know. 15 minutes, then 20. I turned down 2 other requests, rerouted a CEO to room 1 with a gratis toothbrush and a story about plumbing that was kinder than the truth. When Nova and Mariel emerged, they didn't touch. Their eyes looked like people who had touched. I handed back their phones. Nova's hand flicked, the briefest almost against my fingers. "Still there," she whispered. "Still," I said, and something stupid and warm woke in my ribs. There's a kind of intimacy that lives in corridors, what you can say when you must keep walking. Mariel buttoned her sleeve, straightened the line of her collar, looked at me like she saw the outline of whatever temptation I was trying to keep on my side of the desk. "We'll go to the gate separately," she said. "Announce the change at the last possible minute." "Copy," I said. They left by different doors. The lounge noise swelled to reabsorb the idea of them. I should have returned to pistachios and boarding passes. Instead, I went to the back office to pull access logs, a habit that passes for religion in my job. Blue door, open at 21:14 and 21:17. Room 3 occupied 21:18 to 21:41. 2 phones placed in locker A13, digital signature recognized. No cloud syncing on either device during custody. Clean. Good. Also, E19 to E21, gate change already pushed to public boards even though my handheld said to hold. Someone had jumped us, or someone wanted them found. I checked the staff channel. A message floated from Op Support Temp, FYI early post OK, VIPs notified. I don't like new names on our channels. I checked the profile, created tonight. 2 posts. An email domain I associated with a contractor we only used for holidays and harm. I called security. "Talk to me," I said. "We've got a ghost in the system," they said. "Rerouting, assume leaks." "Copy," I said and ran. At gate E21, the area was too quiet. My favorite sign of trouble is unnatural silence. A cluster of cameras, not ours, had found a new vantage. Freelancers, sure, and 1 or 2 concerned citizens with phones who use the public interest like a shovel. 2 seats remained empty near the counter. Nova's and Mariel. Their flight now boarding, not a stutter of announcements I didn't write. "Mark," security said in my ear, "the mole is feeding them gate changes. Use the service bridge." "You're kidding," I said. "We like experiments," they said. The service bridge is a skinny, unspectacular piece of infrastructure that connects E19 to E21 behind a locked flex wall, so crew can walk without walking. It's ugly, fluorescent, honest. I grabbed a radio, signaled my team, and became for 10 minutes the kind of person who moves celebrities like luggage. Mariel came first, fast and contained. Nova followed 2 beats later, hood up, mask on, eyes soft but aiming. We walked them into the service bridge and closed the flex wall with a hush. Halfway through the tunnel, Nova stopped. The fluorescent made her look like anyone, which felt like a gift. "Thank you," she said to me low. "I'm doing my job," I said. "That's what people say when they decide to be kind," she said. She glanced at Mariel, who met her eyes with the look of 2 people choosing the same sky. "We won't be on the same plane tomorrow," Nova said. "No," Mariel said, "but we'll land in the same city." There is a kind of nearness that doesn't require physics. I stood there, an unromantic border guard, and tried not to know that I would replay those words later in an empty kitchen. We delivered them to the jet bridge, separate, the way strangers travel together. I walked back through the service corridor and into the lounge, where a man in a navy blazer was waiting at my stand with a badge that would open more doors than mine. Airport operations. He smiled like a story you should hate. "You're very good at this," he said. "You move them clean." "I move everyone clean," I said. He leaned in, too friendly. Next time, he said, loop us sooner. When media is involved, we need to manage optics. I manage people, I said. You manage optics. He patted the counter. We all manage the narrative, he said, and left a card like a threat. At midnight, after the wave of delayed flights had emptied and the lounge had grown honest again, I closed the blue door and sat on the floor of the hallway listening to the air handlers sing. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Thank you for the weather. 10 seconds later. Tell the pistachios I'm jealous. I laughed in the kind of way that feels like sleep trying to take your body back. A week later, the photos landed anyway. A grainy shot of two shapes behind glass, a headline that used the word mystery, a paragraph that said nothing while saying a lot. The senator gave a statement about privacy and dogs. Nova went quiet on socials for 3 days and then posted a video singing into a stairwell that made the city cry. Mariel did her job with more ferocity than a calendar deserved. They came through my lounge twice after that, never together, never not together. Sometimes one would ask for the small room and leave it smelling like mint tea and decision. Sometimes the other would sit by the ficus and text a message she wouldn't send, then delete it and write a better one. Once, after a storm, Nova walked by my stand and pressed 2 fingers lightly to my sternum. "Still there?" she asked. "Still," I said. It had become our liturgy. I don't flatter myself that I matter in their story. I am a man who knows which doors to open and when to look down at a scanner as if it contains divinity. But when people ask me what airports are for, I don't say travel. I say rehearsals. This is where you practice who you'll be when you land. It's where you admit that love likes a map as much as a room. On quiet nights, I take the service bridge alone. The fluorescents buzz, the rubber floor swallows my footsteps, and the flex wall breathes a little like a sleeping animal. Sometimes I stop midway and close my eyes and imagine the sound of 2 women choosing a tomorrow that's inconvenient and true. Then I go back to the lounge and refill the pistachios, and when the next person in a hood asks for blue door, I say the line like it's mundane and holy. Of course. This way.